let's go over award predictions real quick. We didn't do this at the All-Star break, but just real quick, who's your AL MVP pick? Who's your NL MVP pick right now? If you had to go AL,
Judge.
there's really only there's two to choose from.
I'm taking Witt. I picked Witt I picked Witt back in the spring. Sure. I'm going to stay on the Royals bandwagon, and I'm going to stay with Witt.
He'll get some consideration, no doubt, and deservedly so.
Absolutely. The kid's a beast. It's unreal. If you haven't tuned in to watch him play on consecutive nights or 2 or 3 days in a row, you need to, because it's unreal what he does.
Mookie went deep tonight.
Of course he did.
Why wouldn't he? Good Lord.
But I mean, it is Aaron Judge. I mean, he's got 40 and 100 already. I mean, that's silly. And teams aren't even throwing to him anymore.
No.
Like, I mean, they're just intentionally, we were just talking about it last week. Like, one finger up, go to first base, thanks.
Yeah.
If that's not MVP status, I don't know what is. I mean, yeah, the numbers aren't going to be there. Like, he hit the 62 home runs and whatever that year because he's getting walked, because he's getting the Barry Bonds treatment, if you will. Like,
yeah,
I'm not going to let the most valuable player in the league, the best hitter in the league, beat me. And if that doesn't scream MVP, then I don't know what does. Not taking anything away from Bobby Witt Jr., because that dude's an animal.
Oh yeah,
but sure. I mean, I think it's Aaron Judge for sure. But all right, and then in your NL,
I'm going to go a little off here. I'm going to take Ketel Marte.
Yeah, I love it.
I think that when you look at where the Diamondbacks have come from and what he's done, and the defense he plays at a premium position in second base, I will take that over a DH any day. Shohei Ohtani's numbers, super impressive. But he does one thing and he hits four times a game. Ketel Marte plays solid Gold Glove quality defense, and he hits, and at times he's carried that team. So I'll take Marte.
And he just hit his 30th bomb too.
Yeah.
So
he does everything. Yeah. He does everything for them.
He's the big reason why the Diamondbacks have turned the corner here in the second half. Like I said last week, he is my favorite player to watch right now, hands down. He, and every swing he takes, he's never off balance. He squares everything up and he hits it hard. First inning homers, ninth inning homers, it doesn't matter. Like, he is always in every single game. But I mean, it's gonna go to Shohei. I know it's gonna.
Unfortunately,
yeah, it is.
I feel salty about it too, because Ketel Marte was my last year's pick.
Yeah.
For NL MVP, if you guys remember, and I just seem to be a bit of like a year off, but it's going to go to Shohei. He hits the home runs, and that's what baseball is now.
Well, he's at 30-30 already.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I get it. I'm not saying it's like out of nowhere. Right. I'm just saying like it's unfortunately going to be a runaway when it shouldn't be a runaway.
Yes. Yeah.
I think there's legitimate consideration for Ketel Marte.
All I can say is
unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get a single first place vote.
No, all I can say is he's a DH, and in between innings when Ketel Marte's out there saving runs, Ohtani's down in the cage hitting off a tee. Like, it's just not the same.
Okay.
I'll die on the DH mountain too. If I have to die on that hill, I'll die on that hill.
Fair.
Because it's the most overrated position in baseball.
Let's move over to the NL Cy Young. Who do we think is getting the NL Cy Young? And I think it's Chris Sale at this point.
I'm taking Chris Sale, and I don't like it. But I mean, Zach Wheeler's had a good season. Nola's been good. Ranger Suarez he's struggled of late after a crazy good start.
I'd love to see Skeens get some nods.
Oh, I would love to see that too. I mean, you've got Suarez in San Diego who's been good, but he's a bullpen guy. Like, Helsley and Suarez have been like lights out in the bullpen. But I'm not going to give it to a bullpen guy.
Why not?
I mean, you could argue Emmanuel Clase in the AL. He's having one of the greatest seasons that a closer's ever had.
Yeah.
But I still struggle with that.
Okay. So AL Cy Young.
Burns has made it a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
I agree.
He's been
really you asked
good
me
lately.
2-3 weeks ago, I would have said Skubal in a runaway.
It was Skubal in a landslide.
I'll still stick with it. My beginning of the season pick was Ragans, kind of fallen off. I mean, he still had a really good year, but not a Cy Young year. So I'll switch and stay in the division, but I'll go to Skubal here.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm gonna just go off the beaten path. I'm gonna take Seth Lugo.
Ooh, I like
I
that.
think Scooble and Burns are 1A and 1B. I think Seth Lugo is number 2. Highly underrated, very quietly putting up a monster season. Hugely valuable to that KC team. For the hell of it, I think that Lugo should get some consideration for
Yeah.
for what he's done for an organization that has really needed him.
Yeah. My preseason pick was Corbin Burns, and it was for the fact that he's going to be a free
Yep.
agent at the end of this year and wouldn't get signed. So it'd be our second Cy Young Award winner, in a row that
With
wouldn't
no
get
home.
signed by a team. Right. So I'm going to stick with Burns there, but
don't sleep.
Scooble's disgusting.
Yeah.
And
don't sleep
good.
on Class A. Emmanuel Class A has got 35 saves. He's pitched 54 innings. He's given up 4 earned runs, and he's struck out 47 in 54 innings.
It's all
So
right.
Four earned runs.
So I'll be honest with you. I don't have like a. I should probably do the legwork and like get numbers to back this up, but I'm just too lazy right now. I feel like when a reliever or a closer, particularly closer, wins a Cy Young, it's because there wasn't a dominant starter available. That's not the situation here. You
Right.
have 2 real dominant starters that you can go to. I don't see the voting bypassing 2 starters like Scooble and Burns to go to Class
That's
A.
fair.
I'm with you as far as like the consideration. I just don't see it happening.
No, I think he'll steal a few votes.
Or you have to
because he's had a stupid good season.
Or you have to have a season like Eric Gagne had and have 84 consecutive saves.
Right.
I mean,
that's the only other way you're going to get it.
I mean, Gagne beat out Jason Schmidt, who was 17-5 with a 2.34. He beat out Mark Pryor, who was 18-6 with a 2.43, and beat out Russ Ortiz, who was 21-7 with a 3.81.
Yeah.
But he had he had 55 saves, struck out, what was it, 137 in 82 innings, and had a 1.2 ERA. 11 runs all season. So, I mean, off the charts. If you had the chance to grab Corbin Burns or Tariq Skubal on your rotation, Sean, who are you taking? Who's number 1 for you? You got one guy.
Skubal.
Who do you take?
Skubal.
See, I feel the same way. I'm a huge Corbin Burns fan, but I still would take Skubal.
This has absolutely my picking of Skubal has absolutely zero to do with Corbin Burns.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? It's just that I love Skubal. I love him. I love everything about him. I love his bulldog mentality. I love his stuff. I just love everything about him.
Yep.
And I think he is a legitimate. I mean, he's been in the league for a handful of years. I think he is a legitimate ace for the next 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah, he's likely one of those kind of late bloomers that really puts it together after a handful of seasons.
Yeah. Who do you guys got for Rookie of the Year?
I don't like this one as much.
I don't know.
Nick, who do you have?
I have Jackson Churio for the NL.
Yeah.
He's kind of hidden away up there in Milwaukee. He was
Fair.
my pick at preseason. I think it's Jackson Churio in the NL. And honestly, right now, I think it's Willie Abreu.
Yeah, so Will Abreu was my pick in the preseason. Yeah. I had him. I picked him in the preseason. I also think Ceddanne Rafaela has a case to be made as well. Yeah. I don't know if it's a winning case to be made. I don't know if I could argue that he should win it. And I've said it from the beginning, if you guys remember, like I don't think he gets enough credit for the way they handled him in the first couple months of just playing like a billion different positions while also batting like in the middle of the lineup and also being like, oh, by the way, like we have a lot of stuff we're dealing with injury wise. Like we need you to play middle infield. We need you to play center field. We need you to like lead the team and being aggressive on the bases. Right. We need you to also add a little bit of power and hit some home runs because we're going to go through a period of time where we're not scoring a lot of runs. So like we need you to do all of those things, but we also need you to play Gold Glove defense while you're doing all those things, because if you don't, we're screwed. And like he kind of followed through on pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the numbers are there enough. I do think he strikes out a little bit too much and all that, but he's a young player. but I think he certainly deserves the conversation. To me, there's no doubt.
Yeah, no, I think he got off to a bit of a slow start, partially settling in, but also I think to your point, getting bounced around, trying to figure out his place. He's been really good the last couple months for the Red Sox and does a little bit of everything for them.
And I know I hope it's here to stay, the kind of the running coming back into baseball. Yeah. But I could watch whether between Duran, I know he's probably not someone we want to talk about right now, but between Duran, between Rafaela, between David Hamilton, like those guys on the Red Sox, like I could watch them just wreak havoc on the base paths all day. Yeah. It's just so enjoyable to watch. And I hope this is a sign that, like, not just with the Red Sox organization, but just baseball in general, I hope that's coming back. Baseball is so much fun, man. When you got guys going first or third on a single to left field, like that's so fun.
Yeah,
you know
it is. The game's faster.
Well, what's Ellie De La Cruz isn't Ellie De La Cruz up to like 57 stolen bases right now? I think
he's on pace for like 84 last I saw, or something crazy.
Yeah. He's just under 6, right? Just under 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely insane.
So yeah, bring it back, bring the speed back, bring the running back, bring chaos. I love chaos. Everybody that listens to this knows how much I love chaos. Just give me chaos.
Puts pressure on the defense, pressure on the pitchers.
Absolutely.
Mistakes get made, more hit it. Like it feeds and makes it a more exciting game to watch. So in the American League, I really for me it was Luis Heel until about 2 weeks ago, and then it became Colton Cowser. Like I just that guy, he hits everything. He just hits everything. Yeah, and I mean, there was a stretch there when the Orioles were kind of scuffling where he literally just like threw them on his back and said, "I got you. I'll carry us through this couple week stretch." And he was all they had. But I was a huge Luis Heel fan until a couple weeks ago, and the Cowser just continues to do it every night.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Solid. Do you have an NL one or no?
And NL, I'm gonna take Paul Skeens. I don't see how he doesn't run away with this thing. I mean, I know that his velocities come down a little bit. They were showing a stat where he's only thrown 4 pitches over 100 in his last few starts, where he had thrown like 47 in his first 4 starts. So like his average velocity is coming down. So likely getting tired because keep in mind this is only his first professional season coming out of college. Likely some fatigue there. I think he's settling into realizing he doesn't have to necessarily gas it up every pitch, and he's got to preserve his arm a little bit. So I think there's a settling in period we're seeing right here, but he's still winning games, and he's still damn near unhittable most of the time.
Yeah. I don't know the guy, so maybe it's a little bit of fatigue.
Well, we were hanging out yesterday. I'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, nice. I would chalk it up to what you said. The second thing is, though, I think he's, it's the learning how to pitch, but also the learning that like my stuff is still really goddamn good. I don't have to throw it 102 every time.
Yeah, 98 works still.
Like I don't have to, because like my stuff is so good. These guys are not comfortable in the box. Like 99, 98 does the trick just as well. Yeah. And that's how you save yourself. I mean, that's how you extend. That's how you can, you last. I mean, who am I? But I mean, that's just common sense, right? Like you don't have to blow your elbow out on your 4th start. Like your stuff is so good. Like you don't need to rear back and go 100 and 102 every time you throw a fastball. And I think he's learning that his stuff is just so good. Yeah. I think it's him in a landslide in the National League. I would love to see him win both. Win the Cy Young and win the Rookie of the Year.
And that's what made Verlander so good for so long, because he could stay at 96, 97 all game long. Yeah. But he had 102 in his back pocket and be like, "Oh, I need to blow this by you." Like, okay, go take a seat, buddy.
How many times did we see that from him in Detroit?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like, it'd be in the 8th inning, and he's at his 98th pitch, and he just threw it 101. You're like, what the hell?
Well, that was like,
absolutely.
Pedro, 93, 94 all game, 98 when he needed it, 99 when he needed it. But think about what you just said, Sean, the insanity of what you just said. He can dial it back and throw it 98. Like, it just doesn't seem right. Like, he can just kind of casually throw 98. I mean, come on.
It's insane.
It's insanity.
All right. And last category I have is Manager of the Year. I think right now, hands down in the AL, it's got to be Matt Quatraro for the Royals. What the turnaround for that team, that franchise, that whole organization right now. Yes, Bobby Witt is huge. Pasquatch is another reason why. But the pitchers they brought in have been huge. But, I mean, what he's doing with that team, I think, is...
Did you see that? So they brought over Urkeg from Oakland?
Yeah, Oakland.
He just gave up his first run in like his 6th appearance for them. And like
Yeah.
they found they worked with it on a minor tweak in his delivery when he got to Kansas City, and he was lights out for like 9 straight innings. They're like,
he
oh,
he also throws like quadruple digits too. That kid,
and now he's throwing quadruple digits with movement and control.
Yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
Yikes.
It's crazy. Yeah, and then getting Hunter Harvey too at the deadline.
Yeah,
another huge arm in that bullpen. So the Royals are in good shape going forward. But
obviously the Royals have been my team all season. The only reason I pause, because I really want to see Quattraro win it, is what Stephen Vogt's done in Cleveland with that team. Those two are gonna like absolutely battle for that Manager of the Year award, because Vogt, first year manager, a roster that nobody knew what to expect, that has absolutely played just great baseball, and the players love him. They play hard for him. They listen. He's one of the few coaches able to walk in on day one and command a locker room, having just been there himself. Like, what he's done there in his first year is quite impressive with a young roster.
Yeah. And I can't believe I'm going to say this, but Alex Cora could also be in the consideration, because the Red Sox we're not supposed to be in this situation fighting for a wild card spot. But we're supposed to be in the basement underneath the Blue Jays. At the beginning of the year, we were supposed to be underneath the Blue Jays, looking at the White Sox, like looking for the worst record in the league. We have turned.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't.
We thought it was a 500.
I'm being a little overzealous, Sean. All right, but
being dramatic.
I'm right. I mean, that's what I am. I'm dramatic. Okay, just hang with me.
Diva.
Okay? But you got the new pitching coach. He's made changes. Like, our pitching has changed. Our philosophy has changed. The players seem to be playing harder this year than I've seen Red Sox in the past few years. Like, it's a different feel for the Red Sox team than it has been.
So I would agree with like probably 85-90% of what you said. I think as long as Cora's been the manager, the players play hard for him. I don't think that's ever been a question. 2018, they were the best team in baseball. They played hard for him from the beginning to the end. They were an absolute wagoon, and they won the World Series. And then 2019, he's out, suspension. It was kind of an odd, weird, whatever, ever since he's been back.
Renicky was a short timer. They all knew it.
Yeah, well, sure. Ever since he's been back, I've never watched the Red Sox being like, they don't play for the manager. They don't play hard for the manager. The one thing that's hard for me to I'm you guys know I'm a huge Cora guy. I think he's a great manager.
But you're picking Boone this year, right?
It's hard. I'm not even going to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to put him in a Manager of the Year conversation when, like, we knew from like spring training and the beginning of the year that this was a putrid defense, and we've seen zero improvement. Like, zero improvement.
Yeah.
Like, if you're just like that much better, if you're just like that much better as a defense, you're in the wild card right now.
Yeah. Very true.
Just that much better. Just that much better. Just a little bit better. You're ahead. You're holding one of the wild card positions at this moment. Yep. And I'm not talking leaps and bounds better. I'm just talking like a little bit better. And like there has been no kind of focus on it. And like, that's a hard thing for me. It's like, you're the manager. Like, that's your job. And it's hard to, I think he's done a great job, like, with the lineup, with the injuries. I mean, Story getting hurt and Cassis missing pretty much, all this time. And I think he's done a great job with bringing guys like Dom Smith in and, working their way in and out. He moves guys up and down the lineup, and he gets buy-in from these guys all the time. I don't think he has a great bullpen. I think he's done a pretty decent job managing the bullpen. All of those, yes. But like, a fundamental part of baseball is playing defense. And when like you don't address that at all, I have a hard time being like, you're the best manager in the American League.
That's fair.
You know what I mean? That's it's hard for me.
Especially a guy in Cora who was kind of a defensive specialist for most of his career. So
yeah, that's fair. How about in the NL? This one's a little interesting because I don't know.
I like Pat Murphy in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I mean, I really shove it to Craig Counsell.
Well, yeah, almost, yeah, dude, kinda.
Yeah.
And if you guys almost is like a kind of shove it in my own hoop, because Craig Counsell was the reason I had picked the Cubs to win that division. I thought like they finally get themselves a manager that's a good manager, knows what he's doing, good club, young players, talented roster, yada yada. Like Craig Counsell was like my put it over the top.
Yeah.
And they put it on my hoop because now the guy that replaced him in Milwaukee is running away with that division. So I think he deserves a nod, certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great pick.
I think I agree. I think Pat Murphy gets serious consideration. I think another guy, Sean, is your Mets manager, Mendoza.
Mm-hmm.
That team was I
agree.
fire sold last year, and Cohen was throwing the towel in and waiting to rebuild, and then they kind of didn't rebuild. And that team is, even though they had some really wretched stretches, they've stayed in it and they've fought, and they're giving themselves a chance, and nobody thought they had one. I think Mendoza and I think Derek Shelton of the Pirates are both going to get some consideration too, because those teams have just fought and scraped and clawed to stay in it. And I think that's going to give them some votes.
I mean, you look at the Padres too. I know they're not really one of our favorite teams to talk about, but Schultz kind of kept them in the race too. So, I mean,
they've played really good of late.
Yeah. So Jerks and Profar emerging out of nowhere and having the season of his life has definitely helped.
He was like a fourth outfielder, and all of a sudden he's a stud.